Hello, my loves. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Matilda of Lazy Camel Collective, where we love all things thrifting and upcycling and sustainability and expressing yourself creatively through fashion. You might notice that we are in a new space. I have had a little bit of a crazy month. I spent the past month moving and changing apartments, so I apologize for taking such a long break from filming, but I am back and I have a couple of really fun thrift flips planned for us today. This is the piece that we're going to be working on today. It's kind of like this oversized t-shirt nightgown kind of situation. I really love the like bubblegum pink color of this shirt slash dress. And I don't know, it's like springtime gearing towards summer, and I'm just like really in love with everything floral right now. Since we have so much material here, since it is kind of more of a dress length, I think we're going to be able to make two pieces out of it. These are kind of the inspiration photos that I have for the two pieces that we're going to make. But once again, we'll probably just make it up as we go. These are going to be some really good projects, especially if you are a beginner sewist. I think that playing around with clothes that you already have in your closet, especially like old t-shirts that you don't really care about if you mess up, are such a great place to start if you're feeling a little bit intimidated at the beginning of your sewing journey. So I think we're going to have a lot of fun. Hopefully this inspires you to get started on your sewing journey. So let's grab our sewing machines and get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove these sleeves. I'm going to do this on both sides. And then the next thing I'm going to do is just cut straight across the front of the shirt, and that's going to make the top part of the tube top that we're going to make. And then the next thing I'm going to do is measure out how long I want the bottom part of the shirt to be. And I'm going to leave us a lot of room for seam allowance. So I'm going to measure this to be 9 inches long, just so that we have a little bit of wiggle room here. And then I'm just grabbing my scissors and cutting straight across the shirt. Okay, so I wasn't loving having the buttons down the front of the top part of the shirt. So I'm just going to cut a new top part just so that I don't like have those buttons kind of in the front. And then the next step is going to be to just sew right down the side seams to take in the excess fabric of the shirt. So I'm going to start with the top piece, and I'm just going to sew a straight stitch down the side. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the bottom part of the shirt, except this time I'm going to do a little bit of a taper when I go down towards the bottom, because I want there to be a little bit of a flare at the bottom of the shirt. But I want it to be like a very, very slight taper. So I'm not going to move the fabric very, very much when I'm sewing down. And then I'm just going to remove all of the extra fabric from the sides. And I'm going to leave about 1/2 inch of seam allowance. Okay, and then the next step is going to be to put everything together. So we want to attach these two pieces right sides facing each other. I want to attach the bottom part of the top of the shirt to the top part of the bottom of the shirt, if that makes sense. And then the next thing that I want to do is reattach the sleeves. So when the shirt was a t-shirt, the sleeves were on like this. So this part was like the shoulder, and then this part here was the like part that your arm went through. So it was kind of like on the shirt like this. What I want to do is flip it around and use it kind of in a different way. So I want the sleeve to kind of sit like this. So this part will kind of go up and over my shoulder, and then we'll have like a fun little kind of flappy flare ruffly sleeve that'll just kind of like go over the top of my shoulder. So the shirt is gonna kind of look like this when we're finished. And it'll allow us to make use of this existing seam that's already there, so we're not even gonna have to finish the seam. So now I am back at my sewing machine and I'm just gonna finish up these sleeves with the lettuce hem. So once again, I'm just doing a zigzag stitch and stretching out the fabric as it goes underneath the presser foot. So basically what I'm going to do is attach the sleeves to the shirt. So I have my shirt with the right side facing out. I'm basically going to pin this raw small edge to the back and the front edges of the shirt. So I have right sides facing each other, and then I have the rolled hem facing towards the middle of the shirt, not the outside. And then I have the ruffly edge facing towards the outside edge. So I'm just putting 2 pins in, and then I'm going to flip it over, and then I'm going to pin the other side of the shirt the same exact way. So I have right sides facing each other with the raw hem facing the middle of the shirt and the ruffly hem facing the outside of the shirt, and it'll start looking like something kind of like that. Oh my gosh, this might be one of my favorite things that I have ever made. I am so happy with how this turned out. I've been wanting to do kind of like a squared neck shirt for a little while now, and I just love how this turned out. I just love the like frilly sleeves and like the ruffled hem. I did end up doing more of a rolled hem across the top just because the lettuce hem was just looking a little bit awkward since it is like a tighter fit on the top. Like the ruffled hem wasn't really ruffling, but I did keep the rolled hem on the bottom because we did do that little bit of a flare, so that allowed the bottom to kind of just poof out a little bit more, and so it looks really cute with the lettuce hem that we did. But yeah, I'm so happy with how this turned out. I cannot wait to wear this. I'm like holding in the cuteness aggression right now. So we're gonna keep moving along with the rest of the fabric that we have left from the nightgown. This is pretty much all that I have left. I think there's enough material left to make this shirt. We're gonna try it and see how it goes, but I think it should be really simple. It's literally like 3 rectangles. So we'll pretty much just like cut out the band to go around the waist, and then the 2 cut pieces, and then tie it in the top around the neck, and like that should be it. It should be super simple. So let's see what we can do. So I'm going to start out with this piece by cutting the length of the bottom part of the shirt. So this part here is going to be the bottom tube, and then I'm going to use this piece to make the cups. And then I'm going to use the shirt that we just made to measure out the width of the bottom part of the shirt. So I'm just going to line this up right in the center and pin right where I'm going to sew. And then I'm just going to sew straight down the sides to make a tube. And then the next thing I'm going to do is just a quick rolled hem across the top edge of the shirt just to finish off those seams nicely. Rolled hems are kind of my arch nemesis. I don't know why. I just can never really get them to look good, and I just don't like doing them. So this is gonna be probably no different. And now we're gonna make the cups slash halter top. We're gonna pick one edge of the fabric and make them into kind of like a scoop shape. So I'm just gonna kind of roughly eyeball this. This is gonna be the bottom part of our kind of cups slash straps that we're making. And then I do want the straps to kind of taper and get smaller towards the top so that we can tie them. So I'm gonna measure how skinny I want them to be at the top. And then I'm just gonna cut from the bottom and just like slowly taper it up to the top. And then I put my stitch length on 4, And I'm just going to do a basting stitch all along the bottom edge of the cups. And then this is going to allow us to pull that basting stitch and kind of create kind of like a ruffled, gathered look at the bottom of the cup. And then to do kind of the gathered effect, I just did all of this and then realized I wasn't recording. So I'm going to undo it and then redo it again to show you. To do the gathering, you're just going to pull on one of your little tail strings. I don't know how well you can see this because this fabric and thread is so light. You're just pulling on one of the strings and you're just kind of pulling the fabric along the string to kind of create a gathered effect. And then you pull from the other side. I think this process is so satisfying. Yeah, and then you just kind of pull along and you create kind of that gathered ruffly look, and it starts looking kind of like this. And this just kind of makes the cup three-dimensional, right? So instead of having like a flat piece of fabric, we kind of start adding a little bit of dimension to it. And then I'm going to finish up the side seams of our ties with just another ruled hem. Normally I would prefer to do like a lining and just not have any seams here at all, but I don't have enough fabric left to do that. So we're going to do it this way instead. The next thing I'm going to do is attach the cups to the bottom part of the shirt. So I'm going to lay the cup face down. So that's kind of what it's going to look like when we sew it. And now I'm going to take it over to the sewing machine and just stitch everything together. I'm so happy with how this turned out. I really love this design. I've really been wanting to make a shirt like this for a little while now, so I'm glad I finally got to do that. I think technically speaking, this is not like my best sewing work. The seams are pretty funky and I don't know, it's just not like my best work sewing wise, but if you don't look too closely, the shirt turned out very, very well. I just, again, really love this style and this design, and I'm really, really excited to wear it. And I will definitely be making more shirts like this in the future, especially now that I know kind of the step-by-step process on how to make it, since this was kind of like my guinea pig piece. So very happy with this. Love this pattern, love this color. And yeah, I think the two pieces that we made from that one nightgown just turned out so much better than I had expected. So that's definitely a win for the day.